Today I want to talk about the Cossack rotation, and this is one of my favorite general hip mobility exercises just because it kind of hits everything. It's easy to make modification to it depending on what you're trying to get out of it, and it's very easy to just hit different angles in case you need to individualize it for your particular needs. It's really simple. It involves 3 basic positions and then a few different variations on those. So first basic position is the Cossack. I prefer to do it with the heel flat. However, if you need to come up onto the toes like this, it's okay. I'm not going to say one is better than the other because there's still different kind of stretch, different kind of benefits, heel versus toe lifted, so that's up to you. You can, and already I'm doing variations, right? So you can sit down, you can stand up, you can lean your upper body in different directions. We're going to go through that, but I just want to explain the basic movement first, the 3 basic variations, and then a few other ways to play with it. So we have Cossack, and then we switch to the other side. And as we switch from one side to the other, the idea is not to lift the hips like this in the switch, but to try to keep the hip as low as possible. Obviously that's going to look different for everyone, so that's just the main cue is try to minimize the amount of lifting up that you have to do. The second part of that is going to be the rotation. So from here, I rotate into basically some version of a front-facing lunge. And I'm going to put my hands on my hips so it tells me that I'm facing forward. And then I rotate back, other side, lunge. So this is the core of the exercise. Basically, we're hitting like a horse stance middle split position. We're hitting this Cossack, which involves a deep squat in one leg and a groin stretch on the other leg. And then, of course, the front hip position, which is going to involve, depending on how heavy we go, that can involve a lot of hip flexor. It can involve some front hamstring. I'm going to show you this variation later because I also like to do this oftentimes with that front leg because that's going to hit the piriformis. External rotation. So basically with this one exercise you can hit almost every mobility potential of the hip, so that's why I really like it. You can do this for a couple minutes and it's a nice kind of quick workout, warm up, whatever. So I do this one a lot in my own personal practice. So we have 3 variations of the move, and we're just going to vary how strict we do it basically in different ways. So the movement is always the same. We go lunge, Cossack, go through the center, Cossack, lunge, shoo, shoo. But here are the 3 variations. So first one is you're just trying to get as low as possible all the time. So you're going to use your hands on the floor because I can actually go a little bit lower. I'm going to have my chest quite a bit forward for this one, so I'll show you a sideways angle as well. So chest a little bit forward, and I'm using my hands to allow myself to go a little bit deeper, because during those moments that I'm more tight, I can put some weight into my hands, and that allows me to go a little bit lower into that position. So that's the first variation, is just low as possible, hands on the ground. And I'm already doing variations, right? I can go head to toe here. I can get some hamstring, switch. I can stay in this low horse stance type position, switch. I can do some bounces, some more hamstring, some piriformis. So that's version number 1. Version number 2, same idea, but no hands. So it's going to involve just a little bit more leg strength. I think it's good to include both because the hands allow you to go a little bit further, but no hands allows you to build more strength in the lower body. Ultimately, I think both of those concepts are super important for general flexibility development. So version 2 is going to look like this. You can do whatever you want with your hands. I'm not being strict about where my chest goes, so I can play with different chest positions, but generally I'm going to keep my chest a little bit low unless, like here, I'm leaning back to get more into that back hip flexor. But basically you can get a good leg pump from this in just a few reps, or I am anyway. So we can do some rotations like that. Hands, again, whatever you want to do with your hands. If you want to do some fancy kung fu shit, whatever. If you just want to be like a fitness model and just keep them crossed by your sides, that's also cool. Doesn't matter. So shake the legs out, and you can see it's a very organic transition. I'm trying to make it as smooth as possible. The key with that transition is that rotation of the back foot. You see that? And then here. So if you understand how that back foot rotates, it can make your transitions really smooth without having to have this clunky movement. But of course, it's going to take practice like anything else. So third variation is the most strict. That one's going to be chest vertical. So if you look from the side, I'll show you, we're going to always try to keep the chest vertical, and we're going to also try to keep the posterior pelvic tilt like this. So flat back, and that's going to build even more leg strength. This is going into more of like some of the Kung Fu Chinese martial arts stances, so it's a little bit inspired by that. But basically, we're going to go Cossack, but I'm trying to stay upright. Rotate, chest stays upright. Rotate, stay as low as possible. So especially here, if I really focus, I'll show you a different angle. So here, if I really focus on the posterior tilt, it puts a lot more emphasis on opening the hip. So that makes it also really interesting. Just again, different versions of the exercise to put different emphasis on certain elements or concepts that may not get enough work if you only do one variation. So 3 progressions, 3 variations. I wouldn't even call them progressions because I think each one of them offers their own unique advantage. So if you are doing this exercise in your warm-up or in your training, I would suggest including all 3 because I don't think one is superior to another. And then one thing that I personally like to do, because I have pretty tight external rotation and piriformis, so when I go here, I go through this lunge. Not always, I can do a strict lunge, but then what I also like to do is this one. So pushing the knee out, I can go head to toe, I can do some oscillations, straightening that knee forwards and backwards. If I go all the way straight leg, I can get into some hamstring work. And I'm trying to just explore and make it organic. So I'm not necessarily doing specific stretches right now or anything like that. It's just warming up, exploring, and seeing. I'll show you the other side from a different angle. So ba, ba, here, switch, switch, switch. I can lean into this leg. And again, it's exploration. I think this is a concept that a lot of people miss in their flexibility because they're always looking for specific exercises to do. But sometimes you don't know your specific weaknesses or tight points unless you actually take the time. So say I'm a little bit tighter on this side. It's a bit more difficult to get that head down. But the point is that you may not actually know your weaknesses or tight spots for certain unless you spend time exploring, because I guarantee they're not going to be the same for everyone. So that's what this exercise does as well, is it allows you to go through that full range so you can explore. And keep in mind, when you do the exploration, it might feel different from day to day. That's not an abnormal thing by any means. So one more time, variation 1, hips low, walking the hands, chest forward. Variation number 2, chest low, hips low, chest can move, hands don't touch the floor. And then variation number 3, chest vertical, posterior pelvic tilt. Try to keep the hips as low as possible. Use the leg power. So there it is. Cossack rotation, again, super simple exercise, but super good. As I mentioned, I do this one a lot in my own practice. I think it's super useful for a number of reasons, as an exploration, as a strength exercise, as a flexibility builder, kind of all in one. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Share, comment, subscribe, like. I offer online coaching. I offer in-person coaching via workshops, although right now that's kind of in limbo. So check those out. Check out my ebook. Check out my Vimeo channel for more in-depth tutorials. And yeah, as always, let me know what you'd like to see, and I'll see you next time.